Hey guys, how's it going? Today's video is going to be a drunk reaction video. If you can't tell, I've been drinking and I'm going to watch my very first video I ever posted. This was posted on September 15th, 2018, so almost 2 years ago, and it is a review of Grace and Fury by Tracy Banghart. And this was my first video. It was not good from what I remember. Also, the video is 5 minutes and 40 seconds. I remember it took me like 2 hours to film it. Like there was about 2 hours of footage because I kept like messing up and not knowing what I was saying and like redoing take after take after take and trying to get it perfect, and like it was dumb. It was a mess. And yeah, I decided I'm just gonna react to that today because why not? So that's what this is gonna be. So let me get my headphones on. I'm having trouble with my headphones. These aren't even headphones. These are earbuds. Okay, so first of all, this thumbnail, crap. Terrible thumbnail. Hey guys, how's it going? Also, this angle, also crap. Like, I remember that I just had, because I was filming on my iPad, I just had it like balanced on the back of my armchair, kind of leaning against the cushion and trying to push up and anyways. So today I'm going to be doing a book review of the book Grace and Fury by Tracy Banghart. I got this in an Owl Crate. I just want to try Owl Crate for 1 month, so I got a 1 month subscription, and this was the book that came with it. So I had no idea what it was about, obviously. Okay, also, the music in the background, I stopped putting music in the back of my videos. I don't like it. And there's definitely a couple times that I don't talk loud enough, and I had to boost the volume of this like 3 times, and it's wonky audio. Not that my audio is great. I really need to buy a mic. I haven't gotten around to it yet, and obviously since it's not working, it does all that, but anyways. I didn't know when to buy it. I never heard of it before, but I read it and I was pleasantly surprised. So I'm going to read the synopsis first. Also, I did this in my first book haul too, but I just read the synopsises. I had already read the book at this point. Like, I could have summarized what it was about. I didn't have to read the synopsis. Like, that's not interesting content. Anyways. Serena Tesoro has been groomed her whole life to become a Grace, someone to stand by the heir to the throne as a shining example of the perfect woman. It's her chance to secure a better life for her family and to keep her headstrong and rebellious younger sister Nomi out of trouble. Also, it took me like 10 million tries to read this. I don't know why, I just kept stumbling over my words, and I had this idea in my head that because I was reading it, I had to be very like, not eloquent, but I wasn't allowed to like stutter or stumble or anything like that, which is dumb. But anyways, it took me so many tries to friggin' read this. But when Nomi catches the heir's eye instead, Serena is the one who takes the fall for the dangerous secret her sister has been hiding. Also, not even looking at the camera, and that shake you saw there was one of the cats, I want to say Ripley, it's usually Ripley, jumping up, and I didn't cut it properly. At least look at the camera. Trapped in a life she never wanted, Nomi has only one option: surrender to her role as a Grace until she can use her position to save Serena. But this is easier said than done. A traitor walks the halls of the palazzo, and deception lurks in every corner. Meanwhile, Serena is running out of time, imprisoned on an island where she must fight to the death to survive, surrounded by women. She must fight to the death to survive. One wrong move could cost her anything. There's no room for weakness on Mount Ruin, especially weakness of the heart. So yeah, it's basically about 2 sisters who are stark opposites. And then after I read the summary, I summarize it in my own words. Like, what's the point? Opposites, living in a world where women aren't allowed to read or write. The older sister Serena is, you know, the proper woman, submissive, does what she's told, doesn't question her role, while Nomi, the rebellious little sister, she wants more for her life. So Serena has been groomed to become a Grace, and Nomi has been groomed to become her handmaiden. And basically their whole world is turned upside down when their roles have to get reversed. Also, all of the cuts in this, So many cuts. Like I said, it took me 2 hours to film this. Because Nomi makes a mistake. I don't want to reveal what Nomi does, because again, that's the deep dark secret that I found interesting and I don't want to ruin that for someone else. So Serena ends up taking the fall for what Nomi has done, and now she gets sent to basically a prison island, and you have to fight to the death to survive. And for someone who's, you know, grown up to be submissive and a proper woman, that's not good. A proper woman. So I got really into this book, which I didn't quite expect. I don't usually read YA, so I wasn't really expecting to get totally engrossed in the story, but I did, and it was really good. It was a little bit lighter on descriptions than I usually like, but I understood the world, the government. Also, nowadays, I cut out most of my ums. Back then I didn't. Alter everything immediately, very easily. The world building was really well done and subtle, I'd say. There was no info dumping, kind of learned everything through the characters. For example, Nomi doesn't know how to swim because she's from a poor town, so why would she know how to swim? And it's little things like that, and just you learn about the world while experiencing it with the characters, which I thought was well done. As far as characters go, there was definitely enough details about main characters, and they were appropriately brief with the minor characters, which is something I think a lot of, especially fantasy authors, do struggle with. I loved the parallels between the two sisters. I thought they both grew as characters in what felt like a very natural way. Both sisters. Okay, I noticed that I keep kind of like leaning back when I talk. I don't think I do that normally. I don't know, it might also be the angle. Like when I'm sitting up, it looks like I'm leaning back, but I don't know. I think that's weird. I'm noticing. I think it's weird. Ripley also thinks it's weird. It's changed quite a bit while still staying true to their character and in a way that made sense. My one minor complaint, the romance angles were kind of cheesy, really predictable. Kind of cheesy. They were super cheesy. Let's be real. Very YA, if that makes sense. I did really, really like all other types of relationships though. So the family relationships between the two sisters and even the heir and his brother, I really, really enjoyed those. Nomi's relationship with the other Graces that were chosen, I thought were well developed. Some of them were a little shallow, I guess, but they were very minor characters, so it worked. And Serena has some relationships more built on respect with people of power, and I thought that was really well done. So aside from the romances, I thought the characters all act in a very believable way. I thought the twists were very well. So I never liked romance to begin with. I think we all know that. I'm not a romance person. But I don't know why I just didn't want to come out and say it. Like I didn't want to come out and say that I didn't usually like romance because I thought it would make me kind of like less credible. So I was just trying to tiptoe around it, but nowadays I just come out and say, I don't usually like romance to begin with, but also this romance is worse than usual, or whatever the case may be, but apparently I didn't want to say that. Set up. Some of them were a little predictable, but some of the big ones I did not see coming, or at least not until right before they happened, so I thought that was really cool. Even some minor twists, even though they didn't really affect the story much, were just really well set up, and I ended up enjoying them because of that. So I would rate this book an 8 out of 10. Like I said, I'm really curious if I would still rate it an 8 out of 10, because this was the first book I read since joining BookTube, and before this I read a lot of like more dry fantasy. Like I didn't read like any YA before this. Pretty much before this, I mostly read like Lord of the Rings, Wheel of Time, that kind of thing. So I didn't really know the YA fantasy genre. So I'm really wondering if this would hold up if I were to like reread it now. That might be something I do eventually. I don't know. Like I said, I loved the story. I thought the writing was really well done. The characters were really good. The only other minor thing I had is that going into it, I didn't know it was a sequel. Not that that's a big problem, it's just something I usually like to know. So I usually like when it says somewhere's on the cover like first in this series or something along those lines. Again, that's because usually I read very long fantasy series where book one is called book one, whereas a lot of current books, it doesn't say book 1. You don't necessarily know that there's a sequel because a lot of times the sequel isn't sold yet. So that's just something that, based off what I read at the time, was abnormal to me. You know, sometimes I'm in the mood for a standalone, and then I pick up a book and it turns out not to be a standalone, which happens often in fantasy. So it's not really a big deal. I just would have preferred to know ahead of time. I am very excited to read the sequel, which comes out expected July 2019. So yeah, Grace and Fury, I would give it 8 out of 10 stars. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm very excited for the sequel. I definitely think that you should pick up this. I still haven't read the sequel. I really meant to. I meant to buy it last year and I just didn't, and then I couldn't find it at a cheap enough price. I don't know. This book, it's a very quick read. It's about 310 pages and the pacing just makes it seem very fast. And I was very into the story, so I thought it went by very, very quickly. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Again, Grace and Fury by Tracy Banghart. I'm hoping to do more reviews in the future and other bookish videos. So if that's something you might be interested in, feel free to subscribe. And I will talk to you later. So have a great day. Bye. What an awkward ending. Okay, so that wasn't that bad. It was awkward and a little bit cringy, and there were definitely some mistakes that I made and just things that I wouldn't do nowadays. I don't know. You could definitely, I think, tell that I was really shy and uncomfortable in front of the camera, which I think is really common for anybody's first video. Like, you can tell that it's a little bit awkward. Honestly, I was expecting it to be worse, but that wasn't so bad, I guess. Honestly though, I have learned so much since really getting into videos, and I really think that I've improved so much. I feel like I'm a lot more comfortable in front of the camera. I don't know, I felt like when I was filming that one, I was talking to a camera, and now I feel like I'm talking either to people or to, like, I don't know how to explain that, but it just feels a lot more natural, a lot less forced. But we all have to start somewhere. We all have a really awkward first video, I think. So that is all for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, please click the like button to let me know, and subscribe to stay up to date with the rest of my videos and see how much I improve in the next 2 years and see how friggin' awesome I'm gonna be in the year 2022. I post new videos every Wednesday and Sunday, usually reading or writing related. So I hope to see you guys next time, and until then, have a great day. Bye.